Black lives don't matter if you vote Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for 2020 president and vice president, respectively. It's falling on deaf ears. If you're posting that black box on your social media, you hashtagging Black Lives Matter, going around saying it doesn't matter if you vote Biden, Harris. You threw that away. You saying Black lives don't matter. And it's not about Black Lives Matter as a group, an entity, or what have you. It's about the concept and reality saying, hey, black people matter. Black people should not be getting shot by the police. Unarmed people should not be getting shot by the police. Non-threatening people should not be getting shot by the police. That's what this is about. And you can't tell me that Black Lives Matter if you vote for a man in Joe Biden that's been on every major criminal legislation since the 1970s. Drug bills, infamously the 1994 crime bill, and effects that rippled amongst black people, where it incentivized states to take harsh actions, mandatory sentencing, etc. Back in the 80s, difference between crack and cocaine. Making the police militaristic. Joe Biden is all over that. Joe Biden was in the White House when the media started talking about police shootings again. During the Obama era, his second term, 2012 beyond, Joe Biden was right there. What did Joe Biden do? Was he lip service? Just like Obama? Yeah, he was. The man stands behind his crime bill. The man literally told you out his mouth, he don't care. He said he cared about his mama and that's it.
Back to the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street. That's number one. There's a consensus on that. Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society. And the truth is, we don't very well know how to rehabilitate them at that point. That's the sad truth. I'm the guy that said, rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and notice it. And even when we notice it and we know it occurs, we don't know why. So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release. That's why in our system, there's the federal system, you serve 85% of your time. It's a shame, but we don't know how to rehabilitate. But there is a consensus, and I will cease. A, we must make the streets safer. I don't care why someone is a malfactor in society. I don't care why someone is antisocial. I don't care why they become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society, try to help them, try to change their behavior. That's why we do in this bill. We have drug treatment and we have other treatments to try to deal with it. But they are in jail, away from my mother, your husband, our families. But we would be absolutely stupid as a society if we didn't recognize the condition that nurtured those folks still exist. And we must deal with that.
Selfish man. And you say, how can he be selfish talking about his mama or his family, what have you? That is the definition of selfish. You and your extension. It's not about the individual families. It's about the community. It's about the people. It's about the state. It's about the country. What's going on out there? He just wants to round everybody out, round everybody up, and sort it out later. That's his motto. Lock them up. Lock the Negroes up. He don't care. And you can see how it affected Hillary Clinton. She had an answer for that. Just because she made support towards that crime bill. But she wasn't even officially on any of those bills. She was just the first lady. And she took heat for that. But now Biden can't take heat for that? Biden can't be held accountable for that? At least, since he's not being punished for that? He ain't being punished. But since people want to be never Trump, all of a sudden Biden's okay? He was called out for it. But the Democrats rigged the primaries. We know that. It ain't the first time they done that. Because essentially they want to be on the path saying, hey, can we win without the black vote? They trying to see what they can do. If Trump's in, so what? They don't really care. They want to try to win without the black vote. Try to get a higher percentage of other people. Make it a higher percentage of Latinos by actually acting in the bad interest of black people by giving citizenship to 11 million illegal immigrants. Because unfortunately, due to the things that took place in the United States, colonies, slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, mass incarceration, redlining, etc., that you're bottom casted if you're black. And you're competing for those lower level jobs. Not always, but a lot of times you are. We have black unemployment. It's always double. It's always been double since almost the time before ever. It's even worse now during this Corona COVID-19 era. And we ain't got time for that. We need to make sure black people and everybody that wants a job has a job before we start giving illegal jobs, H-1B visa jobs, etc. So no, Joe Biden is not acting in the best interest of black people. To some degree, poor people in general. But he definitely ain't acting in the best interest of black people. No, sir. And he has a history. He has to make amends for that. You gotta make amends for that. You don't just walk in to the highest office like that just because you're supposedly the opposite of Trump. Just because Trump and his people are on the far right and the Democrats want to be center right. Yo, where's the liberal? Where's the liberal at? The liberalism at? Because everybody know the history of the United States. Come on now. Y'all know how this country is built. And I guess there's maybe some states that want to get kind of funny style with the history books, but we know what it is. And Joe Biden? Segregationist? Segregation Joe. Jim Crow Joe. Peckerwood Joe. Yeah, I said it. Because it's Peckerwood behavior. That's what it is. It ain't no spinning that. Joe Biden's outright Peckerwood. Peckerwood Joe. He ain't for black people. He's just trying to do the bare minimum. Saying, hey, I see it. We're going to keep pushing that status quo. He ain't about change. He ain't about switching up the status quo at all. And that's just him as a president. We know his history. It's been going on for decades. And the only reason why he got in the White House because he rode the coattails of Barack Obama. And Barack Obama picked him to try to appease to the working class, middle American whites. That's all. And more black people concerned about, hey, having some kind of representation at that time. Was that representation good? No. It might have mental effects for some people. Maybe small children saying, hey, somebody black was president. Maybe I can be president. Maybe it'll switch up a few prejudiced people's mind to saying black people can't handle that role. I don't know, but in general, it didn't do much. Did Obama have to answer police brutality? Did he press the issue? Did Obama press reparations to redress for all the wrongs done for black people for hundreds of years? No. Joe Biden sat there too. He had his chance to apologize. He had a chance to make a statement saying that he wanted to switch it up, at least in terms of the police brutality, at least in terms of the criminal justice system, at least in terms of mass incarceration. He was a father of that kind of stuff. He was all up in that mix. He was going harder than the Republicans. Segregationists. He was hanging out with Strom Thurmond and those people. He gave his eulogy, called him a good man. So he clearly overlooked something. And that's supposed to be the guy? That is not the guy. Kamala Harris? No. We know her track record. District Attorney, Attorney General. Locking up black people, black women specifically for truancy, for their kids not going to school. Locking up mothers when their kids can't get to school because they have a health issue. Sickle cell. You know, black people have sickle cell. That's where you find it at. Not every black person, but that's where you do find sickle cell at. Because when you're born, and no one talks about that, but when you're born as a black person, you're automatically tested for sickle cell. It's just not in the mainstream like that. That's just something you have to know. Black people suffer from sickle cell. You find it in them. Kids can't make it to school because of that. Kids can't make it to school because of whatever health issues going on. But that was ignored. Parents trying to get out there to go to work. Sometimes they lose track of what's going on with their kids, and they rely on the schools. They rely on y'all to try to push them and encourage them a little bit to assist. But y'all want to go ahead and lock out the parents, specifically black women in this case, and how they going to provide, especially when they're in single parent roles, a lot of them, how they going to provide for their family when they locked up in jail. Then you got to go send a kid to live with some random family member. Like, come on now. And that's if they lucky. If not, they get them in the foster thing. So like that's just crazy to me. Having black men, the majority black men fighting fires, California wildfires, for a couple dollars an hour when they're supposed to be going home. But she want to keep them locked up so they can fight the fires and get that cheap labor. That's what Kamala did. Covering up murders. That's what Kamala did. Withholding information. That's what Kamala did. Locking up black people. Kamala Harris. Locking up black people essentially as a prosecutor for small drug traffic, for small drug offenses. Weed. A thing that she claimed to smoke because she was Jamaican, being ain't a big deal. But when it was in California, it was a big deal for her to be locking up black folk over marijuana, small possession like that. But she's all cool smoking marijuana, right? She's smoking it in the 80s, listening to Tupac in the 80s. And what was Tupac doing in the 80s? I don't think he was rapping like that in the 80s. You ain't heard about him to the late 80s, early 90s, something like that. But when she was up in college, early 80s, mid 80s, she was not listening to no Tupac. Come on now. She definitely caused harm to African Americans, black people, American descendants of slaves, descendants of chattel slavery. She harmed them outright. Her record is out there. She was clobbered off the stage by Tulsi Gabbard
Congresswoman Gabbard, you took issue with Senator Harris confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response?
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about reentering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize, but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. Your response,
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Senator Harris.
My entire career, I have been personally opposed to the death penalty, and that has never changed. And I dare anybody who is in a position to make that decision, to face the people I have faced, to say, I will not seek the death penalty. That is my background. That is my work. I am proud of it. I think you can judge people by when they are under fire, and it's not about some fancy opinion on a stage, but when they're in the position to actually make a decision, what do they do? When I was in the position of having to decide whether or not to seek a death penalty on cases I prosecuted, I made a very difficult decision that was not popular to not seek the death penalty. History shows that, and I am proud of those decisions.
And then we gonna supposed to ignore that? She gotta pay for that. So she should not be up in the White House. Actually, she should be up in jail. She should be investigated for the things she did. And that's the kind of person you want up in there? If you want to call the person? Or that bitch up in the office? And I ain't got to excuse no type of language for that. And I don't care if you get mad for that. You need to be more worried about the thing that she did to black people. The harm she did to black people. San Francisco, black people make up a small percentage, but they almost 50% of people up in the jails, up in the prisons. That's a bitch move to me. That's being a bitch. I don't know what else you call it. Cause that's what it is. The shoe fits, she gotta wear it. And I hope people ain't gonna be concerned about her being a bitch. You need to be more worried about what she did. So that shows you where your mind's at. You ain't gotta respect somebody like that. They need to be locked up. Lock her up. If you wanna be honest, lock her up more than you wanna lock up Hillary Clinton. Lock her up. Lock up Kamala Harris. Put her in jail, behind bars, clank, clank, put her on lockdown. Joe Biden, get him up at that office. He don't belong in that spot. Democrats, what are they doing for you? They have to earn your vote. What's the black agenda for the Democrats? Is there redress for hundreds of years of oppression? hundreds of years of wealth loss, extreme transformative policies for police brutality, policing in general. How many of you can incentivize the states with the crime bill? You can incentivize them to ease up. And he said he wants to give the police more training, more funding, and things of that nature. But hey, look at who's being put in the police. Private militias, white supremacists, these racist groups. And I'm not saying it's new. It's been going on. So what are you going to do? How are you going to vet these people properly? How are you going to vet these illegal immigrants that just want to all of a sudden make legal where they come from colorless countries and things of that nature? Boy, I tell you. That is not the move. The move, make your vote down ballot. Top of the ballot, third party. No Biden Harris, no Trump Pence. Make it known. Third party vote. Vote nobody. Vote locally down ballot for the people that best represent and cater to your needs. To your community's needs. Definitely at the federal level, up at the top, you ain't gonna have an advocator. And I know the president ain't king, but the president can't be a bully. They can use that bully pulpit and they can advocate. We know that. They can hide things in bills. They can hide things in spending bills and shut down the whole government. You want to get black people money? Hide it in a spending bill and shut down the government and sit on it. And be like, okay, now what? Now what? You don't want to help out black people? Fine, I'll open up the government then. Deal with that. It may gotta come down to something like that. Biden's not the answer. Kamala's not the answer. It showed you who they were. And when they had a chance to make amends and come up with a plan, how they gonna go forward and improve things, they ain't got nothing for you. They ain't got nothing transformative. But they're definitely eager to put you behind bars with all that passion. Well, keep that same energy when you cleaning it up. The same energy you had when you was locking brothers up, locking sisters up, locking black folk up. Had the same energy. Keep that same energy. We're going to redress that. We're going to make right. Nah. 2016, I wasn't cool with Hillary Clinton. I voted Jill Stein. At least she was cool with the reparations. It was going to go ahead and try to push for that. And I know some people say in passing that the Democrats may or may not be for it. I don't know. I don't know at this point. I haven't heard anything definite. I haven't heard anything full-throated from them, from Biden and Harris, what they plan to do, how they going to bully the people a little bit. Those are the police. They're the reason why you have these modern problems, especially with the criminal justice system and the police. They is behind it. Kamala's enforcing it. That ain't the answer. And I'm not saying Trump is the answer. He's not the answer either. But you gotta switch it up. You gotta change the status quo. Make your vote matter. Make them earn your black vote. Make them earn your vote in general. If you're gonna say Black Lives Matter, then come on. Black lives gotta matter. Get them up out of there. Can't have that. Hold that vote hostage, if you will. I don't care what you call it. Make it known. Make it known you need a black agenda, a solid black agenda for the Democrats to push for in the highest office. That's why I stand with it. Biden Harris, a no-go for me. Hillary Clinton was a no-go for me. So, of course, Biden and Harris is a no-go for me. They got to do better than that. They could at least address the police issue sufficiently, right? What they want to do, the economic issues with the reparations, etc. You can at least address the police issue thoroughly, full force. Advocate for that. Push that hard. Incentivize states to ease up. Actually treat black people like human beings. They have a lot of autonomy to pick and choose who they mess with. Pick and choose who they lock up. Pick and choose who they throw random drugs and stuff away from. We seen the opioid crisis. The police definitely acted different when the white folks was addicted to things and selling things, doing all kind of crazy stuff. Oh, say, oh, they look like me, and they say, oh, I'm so sad in my community, and they just couldn't lock them up. But they had no problem locking the black folk up when the crack was going on. So please, bump all that, man. Nah, homie. That is not the way. No Biden, no Harris. Make them earn your vote. Unless they come up with something between now, I'm posting this video, and as it gets a little bit closer to the election, then you can't put them up in there. They gotta earn that spot. Use that leverage. Trump's so bad, okay, well, get my black vote. Make sure you secure my black vote, and we can get Trump up out of there. Get him up out of there. Since he's so bad, and y'all think he's so bad and saying all this and that, okay, well, make sure you secure my vote, secure my black vote, earn my black vote, and I'll get Trump up out of there for you. But you're just not gonna have it free. I can't hold you accountable at this. I can't hold you accountable if you get in based on this, especially if I vote for you in this kind of condition. No, because once you're in, and you promise nothing for black people, you want to do nothing for black people, I can't hold you accountable once you're in the office. I'm getting a little long-winded. And I clipped in some things as well. But I just want to be known. Nobody, no Harris for me. Get them up out of there. That's the take. That's what it is. Iceberg Jim out. Deuces.